Welcome to the Taproxy Method, creating confident learners. The Taproxy Method uses a unique combination of breath work, brain-body work, gratitude, and a clay-based program to affect the neuroplasticity of the brain in students, to help strengthen their mind-body connection, help them develop a growth mindset, and most importantly, trust and confidence in themselves. Aloha and welcome to another episode of the Taproxy Method, Creating Confident Learners. I'm Tani Taproxy, the founder and creator. In today's episode, we're going to talk about letting students struggle, a healthy amount of struggle, to help them become the independent students that they're meant to be. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. One way to support the Taproxy Method podcast is to leave a 5-star review and written review anywhere you listen to it. Thanks so much, and let's get started. Before we get started, I wanted to remind you that the foundation course is now out and available. This is 20 years of condensed knowledge made into bite-sized, digestible pieces so that you can implement them for your students or child right away. There's 2 options, a one-time purchase and also the option for a subscription with extra support. All the information is linked in the show notes, and I'm so excited it's out and available for you all. With that being said, as I introduced in the introduction, this idea of letting students struggle with a healthy amount to help them become independent learners and independent students. Often we as adults are uncomfortable with watching a child struggle. We're the ones who want to jump in to help too soon or give the answer or even do the work from them, and this doesn't benefit them at all. We're the ones who have forgotten that there's an amount of effort that is needed to learn a new task. But there really isn't any learning when we're the ones holding their hands, always sitting next to them, always giving the answers without having them try, because they are struggling and because we are uncomfortable. When a child is first learning to walk, we encourage them. We don't step in and do it for them. We give them thousands, many chances. And we may hold their hands, but we get excited for them. We know that it takes 1,000 tries to master anything. And they say that it takes 10,000 attempts or 10,000 hours to become an expert. But we forget that the academic skill needs that type of room and effort, just like learning to walk. And we tend to get uncomfortable when we see a child struggle more than we, quote unquote, think they should, or more than their peers. And we tend to want to help them too quickly. So I wanted to read you a little story about a butterfly, the butterfly, which illustrates this fact so clearly. And maybe if we can apply this story to how we help children, we might give them a little bit more space to struggle and figure things out for themselves so that they do become independent, so that they do become confident, so they do trust themselves and they don't rely on others always. The butterfly. A man found the cocoon of a butterfly. One day, a small opening appeared. He sat and watched the butterfly for several hours as it struggled to force its body through that little hole. Then it seemed to stop making any progress. It appeared as if it had gotten as far as it could and could go no further. So the man decided to help the butterfly. He took a pair of scissors and snipped off the remaining bit of the cocoon. The butterfly then emerged easily, but it had a swollen body and small, shriveled wings. The man continued to watch the butterfly because he expected that, at any moment, the wings would enlarge and expand to be able to support the body, which would contract in time. Neither happened. In fact, the butterfly spent the rest of its life crawling around with a swollen body and shriveled wings. It never was able to fly. What the man in his kindness and haste did not understand was that the restricting cocoon and the struggle required for the butterfly to get through the tiny opening were nature's way of forcing fluid from the body of the butterfly into its wings so it would be ready for flight once it achieved its freedom from the cocoon. Sometimes struggles are exactly what we need in our life. If we were allowed to go through our life without any obstacles, it would cripple us. We would not be as strong as we could have been, and we could never fly. So have a nice day and struggle a little. And this author is unknown. But really, when we step in too soon, when we don't give kids space to learn for themselves, when we always sit right next to them when they're trying to do independent work and we don't leave them for a moment, their wings do become crippled. They don't become as strong as they can be. So we have to let them struggle a bit, even if it makes us uncomfortable, so that they can build this ability. And when we step in too close, we're actually doing them a disservice, helping them all the time. Yes, we absolutely scaffold. Yes, we absolutely have discussions. Yes, we actually make things into bite-sized pieces. We help with pushing them beyond what they currently can do. But step by step by step by step, we stretch and build on the next logical step based on where they're currently at and what they know, and at a pace they can handle. We give them the answers with discernment, and we can definitely model our thinking or show how we figured out something. But if it's within their ability to put the skills together, to put the skills to paper, to the project, then they should be doing the work. They should try first, and then we help, but never too soon. I have found that students who tend not to like to struggle, the ones who give up easily, get frustrated, shut down, are the ones where a lot of things in life actually come easy to them. I have my own personal example from when I was in college. Actually, I was a math major to start. I actually came out with an art degree, but math typically tended to come to me very, very easily. I could pretty much go from A to C rather than A to B to C to get from one place to another. And there was a course that I was very struggling with so much. And my good friend Josh, who happened to be a TA as well in the math department, drew me a little diagram. He drew kind of like a U shape or valley where there was an A at the top of the first part, a B at the bottom, and a C at the end of the other side of the U, or this kind of like mountain valley shape. And he's like, Tawny, you usually go from A to C. But typically, most students have to go from A to B to C and back up that hill from B to C to really figure something out. And just this visual really made me understand that the struggle is normal and that this is part of the process. And yeah, especially with the kids where most things come easy to them, whether it's academics or out of academics, it makes them uncomfortable and they don't want to sit through it and they don't want to do it. And by helping them through the struggle, we help them feel successful and confident. And then they know it's possible and they will try more and they'll sit longer with struggling through something to put the effort. Because in academics, things take a certain amount of effort to learn something new. And we have to let them, especially I always think about reading or learning how to read. It's such a big jump from speaking and letters to connecting those letters and sounds to visual words. And there is just naturally a struggle, just like learning to walk from crawling. There is a new muscle memory, and just there is some of that effort that has to be. And we have to let kids struggle and have obstacles, and so that they can deal with things and not get super frustrated or easily give up. What I often see when a child is identified or tracked into a lower group, they often stay there because they are always given extensive help from there on out. I am of the mindset of teaching to their gaps directly where it's missing when it comes up. Whenever I see something missing, again, I talk a lot about being a detective, whether it's a math concept, a spelling pattern, a word. And all those teaching practices that I'm doing are usually just to find out what they don't know or what they truly don't know independently, what their own personal mistakes are, and when teaching to them, what tools that they need, and actually having them correct their own mistakes rather than just giving them the answers. Another thing that I tend to do is if a child has come to me for support and he or she is learning how to be more independent, when they're doing something, a task that was hard and now it's becoming easy for them, I will walk away for a moment. I might go to the restroom, I might go grab a glass of water really quick so that they are used to me not sitting just right next to them and they get that feeling of being independent. Because again, those kids who are tracked, they tend to almost use people and help as a crutch over time because they're so used to that extra help. So again, the idea is to create confident learners, to create independence, allow them to struggle a little bit where it seems necessary. Again, if it's too much, we scaffold, we help. And another thing I do, and it's a bit laborious, but for my upper elementary and middle school kids, the quickest way for them to fix their spelling and writing mistakes is for them to do it. There's a 3-part writing process that I love to do. It can be done with a quick write of a paragraph, a quick write of a page, a paper as well, where they write, they correct, and then they fully correct it rewriting again so that they're starting to notice what patterns and mistakes that they're doing. They're doing all the work, they're seeing their own mistakes, then they fix them more frequently because they've been made aware of what they are. Because oftentimes when stuff is just corrected for them, then they don't really internalize that. I often tell them if they see a word, if it's on the board or a book or in their writing, I do expect them to find it and transfer and spell it right. This is helping with a whole host of skills like tracking that helps with reading. And they become more aware of the spelling around them and the writing process in this way. So again, oftentimes we don't want them to struggle. We'll like correct it really quick or type it up for them or do something where really they're going to benefit more. Yeah, it might take even 4 times the amount it would take normally if you stepped in, but they're the ones who are actually internalizing it in their brain and starting to learn that for themselves and becoming more independent through that kind of struggle of this is the task at hand. It takes this much process to write, to figure out the spelling, and so forth. Like I mentioned, I will actually purposely at times walk away from a student when they're doing a task that I know that they can do fully independent to get them used to doing something alone. And then I'll pop back in and really highly praise their focus and progress, right? Kids really do thrive when we point to them or point out to them what they are doing right and they want to do more, especially when I know keeping focus is a skill that needs to be built. I had one kid who was not focusing in the classroom at all. And again, I do work on a one-on-one setting where there are less distractions, but a child who is normally reading in the classroom or not paying attention or off task, or even, albeit I saw this child lying on the floor in this environment where the expectation has been set, the outside of this classroom, I have watched this same child turn his focus on and off when needed, be on when we need to work. It's start of tutoring time, it's time to work, and off when he's done. And he's created that. And because there is that expectation of showing up and less distraction with a classroom setting, he's able to do it. But what's really cool is when kids start to do it in a one-on-one setting, they tend to transfer that into the classroom with the distraction of their classmates where they couldn't do it before. Then once I start to see that he has, or a child has, the ability to turn on and off in a one-on-one space, it's transferred and embodied. Again, with focus, I tell kids that they don't need to be focused all the time. When they're hanging out, when they're at recess, when they're at home, when they're just chilling and lounging. But when it's academic time, when it's time to focus, they need to be able to turn on for themselves. And again, if we overhelp, if we don't let them struggle, or we don't expect this of them either, they don't do it. And we want to create independent learners. So when I'm homeschooling, I actually use homework to double check what they really know. There's a student can know something while in class, or they can know something while someone's sitting right next to them doing it with them. But the second it's done independently or at home and they don't remember it, it's not true knowledge yet. So there's markers of learning things, right? When we talk about curriculum is spiraled. A kid will see something in 2nd grade and then probably again in 5th grade and then again in 8th grade and so forth at deeper levels because the brain has been exposed to this. So same with homework or a new topic. Oftentimes kids can do something in the school space. They can do it with help next to them. But as soon as the atmosphere, whether it's from school to home, is changed, or they have to do it completely independent, they don't remember it. So they haven't mastered it yet. It needs that reinforcement. And that's part of that struggling to learn something new for yourself. Those are markers of knowing if a student really knows something. Other markers of if a child really knows something are, can they explain it or explain their thinking, or can they do it alone and in a different setting? Again, these are things I do differently in a one-on-one setting that a child who is easily distracted in a classroom or a group setting needs. That can't be done in that environment. But when the skill transfers from that one-on-one setting, when they have enough of the solid foundation, enough tools that they can truly use it and transfer it to the classroom. And we'll see that with focus and ability to learn independently as well, without so much scaffolding, without so much help, and becoming that independent learner that we really want, that independent, confident learner that we really want. Again, I cover a lot of this in the foundation course. which is now available as a one-time purchase or subscription. Again, in the show notes, link is below. Be sure to sign up for the foundation course. This course is here to support you. It teaches the exact foundational tools I have used with students to ease anxiety and help raise confidence and self-esteem so that they can succeed in all areas of their lives, including academics. It's available as a one-time purchase or as an ongoing monthly subscription with extra group support and monthly live stream. Be sure to sign up for the newsletter to stay in contact. Keep up with the Creating Confident Learners community on Instagram and Facebook at Creating Confident Learners. Have a blessed day and aloha!